I'm here.
Okay, well, how did we meet? I love to introduce you. Wow, the Voices of Women Global. That's an organization from California, USA, founded by Jody Colbert. And Jody is an expert on everything media, radio, podcasting, television, everything. But she has this mission. She wants to have women, to have their voices of women heard. So she founded FWoC Global. And she has this amazing council, and Johanna is actually on the council. I'm on the council. Bonnie, our ambassador that you've seen, is on the council. And she actually did 2 days ago an online event, not like ours, a lot of live. It was all pre-recorded, and we can look at it later on. You can still ask for to enter this. Again, there's a lot of very inspiring ladies to listen to, and so I asked Jody if there was someone from her organization, because Jody is our partner, that wanted to talk and share her story with us, and that's Johanna. So that's my short introduction, and I'll leave it up to you. Who are you, and what message do you have to share? Welcome, Johanna.
Hi, and welcome. And I'm so excited to be here and to be part of this amazing group of women. And that's what we really need, you know, the female energy on this planet now. So I'm really, really happy to be here and that you're doing this amazing event. So. And I'd like to talk about, my topic today is compassion, cooperation, and community. And those are largely feminine attributes. So in an ideal world, of course, we would be completely balanced between the male warrior spirit and the female community spirit. But we're not, and as far back as I can remember in history books, it's all a male-dominated world. So the pendulum has really swung way off in the wrong direction, because it's a one-sided direction, and we evolve here on the duality of the back and forth. So we're completely balanced, then I believe our work here is done, but this back and forth is what helps us evolve. And I have kids, and I don't know how many of you have kids, but maybe you have seen them, that conquering and me spirit is inborn in us all. We like to fight and argue and be right. And the peace and the compassion is something that needs to be taught. So it needs to be taught by our schools, by our parents, by our community. And compassion is feeling somebody else's pain. That's the real word of compassion. And actually, honestly, if we look at each other, who would want to feel somebody else's pain if they can cut it out or put it aside? Because it is painful. So this is something that doesn't come easy, and it doesn't come welcome most of the time. So we try to turn away from it, and then we go into the more male side of ourselves and say, okay, we have the answer here. If you just do things the way I do, then you will feel better, instead of just allowing the other person to be and taking some of their pain and burden onto yourself to understand what they're going through and come from a way of understanding if you want to change something. So that would be the community. So we're building a community. And on this planet right now, we've pretty much messed it up. I think we all agree on that. And we don't have anything to leave behind to the next generations that is going to be easy and fun. They have to clean up the mess of our me, greed. And that is very much of an addiction that we have on this planet today. And I keep saying that it acts like an addiction because to get ahead, we'll step over everybody. And without compassion. And we need to change that. But we don't change that. We make excuses for our behavior. And we make excuses that go as far as we invent a God that says, oh, if you think right, this person just doesn't think right. But if he or she would think right, they would do better. And if they would think like I do, of course, everybody would do better. But that's not possibly anything divine that would say that. But we've hijacked the spiritual movement into a total greed movement. And the emphasis is on more, bigger house, bigger boat, bigger airplane, and not just one airplane. Let's have 2, 3, 4, 5. And we've closed off our hearts to the countries and the people in need. So we're taking all the resources from wherever we can get them to advance ourselves. But the world is not this huge place anymore. We have the internet now. We're connected to Amsterdam, which is pretty far away from me, but we're talking to each other, and that in itself shows how connected we are. So if something happens in Amsterdam today, I will know it immediately. And this goes for all over the world. So we are a small village. We're becoming this tiny village that needs to take care of each other. We need to teach peace. We need to make peace. We need to bring love and our open hearts instead of bombs and I'm doing it right and you're doing it wrong. And so, but we can't change, none of us can change anybody else, but we can change ourselves. And that's the beauty of it. The global change is possible, one person at a time and one open heart at a time. So if we open our hearts, we start to see what the other person does. And it doesn't matter if I'm in California and Rhonda was in the United Arab Emirates and you're in Europe. We're all the same people. We love the people that we love. We fight for what we feel is right. And that's the mother spirit. That's the female spirit. Every mother loves her child. And a child can do horrible things and you still feel that love connection. And you can even allow them to go in a different direction that you think is right for them. Maybe hard, but depending on how opinionated you are. But it doesn't destroy that love bond. So as the feminine divine moves in more into the world, hopefully we can create that love bond with everybody we encounter. And it's not a thing that's limited to women. Like I said, in an ideal way, we should be having the female and male energies balanced within ourselves. So we open our heart to the community and then we move forward as a community. And how we do this in the big world? By treating the people around us right. By seeing who they are, what they're going through, and offering that hug, that open hand, and really looking at what am I doing? Do I need to buy stuff that I really don't need? Do I need to do things that has more of an impact on the environment than necessary? I'm not saying, I live in California, and if we all threw our cars away here, we'd be pretty crazy. But are there times when I can actually walk or ride my bicycles instead of taking the car? That's a change that I can do. And if we all start thinking about, before we go shopping, do I really need that? Is this something that I need? And what am I going to do for somebody else when I do this for myself? Because we're one race, the human race, and we're one species, and we have only one planet. And if we don't start looking at it as in terms of community, we will not have a planet much longer, or the planet will be there without us, because we're certainly not going to make it livable for ourselves. So the line is fine, because if we give away everything today, and everybody does that, and we give it all to the poor and the homeless, and that, you know, may help out to create a community, but it also may just end up that we're all going to be homeless. So I'm not saying that you need to just turn around, give everything away immediately, but you need to grow on it and include the people in your community. So if you have a company that offers healthcare and childcare and promotes community, that doesn't pollute the rivers, that doesn't, you know, leave half the employees without living wages. It's not a communism idea where everybody is made the same, because we're not the same people, but we're equal human beings. We love one another. And we need to urgently get our companies away from just taking out of the system, taking out of the earth, exploiting. I mean, we're now facing fracking to really destroy the earth for personal gain of a few people, because it's no longer necessary. We don't need all the things that we want to have every day. We can build resorts that don't exploit the people that originally live there, but that can build a community and pay decent wages instead of just paying the top floor. And there are wonderful people around. There are people that actually cut their salary to benefit others, because they've realized that they have enough. And so if we can get that spirit of the mother, the feminine energy, because I know if my kids want something, I want to give it to them. And if we're in a store and I want something and my daughter wants something, I would buy it for her. Because I would think like, well, I don't really need it. And if we can have this attitude, not just with our children, but with our community, then we're changing the world. And we're moving back to actually leaving a world behind that is full of joy, because we know if you make somebody else happy, that feels good. If you make yourself happy, that feels good for about 5 seconds. But if you see the continuous happiness in others that you're helping, that's something that is a lasting joy that really moves you for days. And every time you see it, there are so many people in my life that did tiny little things that they probably didn't even think about, that changed the course of my life. That when I first moved to New York, I didn't have very much money and I didn't really know how to live in a city even. It was all kind of new to me. But people were kind. And because people were kind, I didn't end up homeless on the corner. And because people were kind, I found new communities, and my life really took a different turn. And I think most of my life has changed through the kindness of others. And if I can be that person for just a few people in my life, that would be wonderful and giving back. And I'm not saying that the people should all have the same amount of money, same amount of responsibility. No, we're a community, rich, poor, middle class, sick, healthy. We're all one community. And if we look at ourselves as one community, then somebody wants a bigger house. I don't want a bigger house because too much to clean. So I'll be happy to let you have the big house. That's the feminine spirit. To not look at the differences, but to look at the community. And that's what I would like to leave you with today, to just join me and just start thinking about transforming the world by yourself, by changing yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for your inspiring words.
Change the world step by step, and even small steps can create big things.
Well, it's all small steps. It's always small steps.
Yes, I think so. Yeah. This morning or afternoon, I don't even know anywhere more where we are. We had Saskia and Janneke. They are the ambassadors for the Netherlands, and they are at an event. I think they're finished by now. They were talking about compassion as the motor for change. Had to really be compassionate. And I wrote down 2 things. It's act on humanity and give from the heart. Do you recognize that?
Well, I mean, that's pretty powerful statements. So, yes, you open your heart. When you open your heart, you become more compassionate. That's why we don't do it. Because we don't really, if I really open my heart and I go into downtown LA on the east side and see all the homeless people, I can't handle it. So what we do is we shield ourselves from that because we don't want to feel the pain. And we become hard. But when you become hard everywhere, and you make excuses for your behavior, and you move to, oh, this is right. And then you can go into the Darwinism and say, oh, okay, well, they are that way because they're weak. And that's a natural selection. Or they've sinned if you go into the religion. Yeah. And that's why it is that way, even though, Jesus was poor, but that seems to be a forgotten thing. But we make excuses for the things that we don't want to see in ourselves. So it's really taking a look at yourself every day, all the time. And transforming yourself and your own community, one tiny step
at a time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's an inspiration, especially, if you look at the feminine values and the feminine energy and wanting to change the world, we really do need to be more compassionate, more human, more, open, and really take care of each other. Saskia was, she related that compassion to the refugees. So whether they're homeless or refugees, I think there's a similarity. And Alice this morning, she also was talking about refugees, and she is a refugee from Zimbabwe living in the UK. But it is all about listening. It is about empathy. It is about compassion. It is about tolerance. It is about, there's so many things that are important. It is about respect. Very very
main
important.
Issue. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And it is all very feminine values. So,
Well, if you look at the refugees, to have to leave your place like that,
mm-hmm.
and to risk everything. I mean, the death on the boats and everything else just to get away, it has to be really bad.
Yeah.
So if we have any bit of open heart, we can see that wow, this is somewhere where we need to be compassionate and where we need to help and move in and give that helping hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think in that, with an open heart, there'd be no other choice.
There is no other choice. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, Johanna, thank you very much for your contribution for today. And we really like to have you on board. We have to move up to the next speaker. So it's a busy hour.
Wonderful to have been here.
Thank you very much. We keep in touch.